You're listening to Dr. Emma and me on the Tudors Dynasty and Beyond podcast. And now, here are your hosts.
Hello and welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Rebecca Larson, and I am joined again by my dear friend, Dr. Emma, for another Thursday episode of Dr. Emma and me. Welcome.
Hello, Rebecca. How are you? Can you hear me well?
I can. I love that you start dancing even before you say hello.
When you say Dr. Emma, I get excited.
I just want to let all of our listeners and viewers know that the energy level difference today is significant. Emma's dancing. I'm still waking up.
Yes. Well, I am an early riser. We know that. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
So at this point, I've had a very, very large coffee. And my energy is going to last for another 2 hours, and then I'm done for the day.
It's only 8:30.
Only 8:30. I'll be like, okay, that's another day.
I love it. Yeah.
So, I'm peaking right now.
Okay, good. I'm still drinking my first coffee of a day in the cup that says coffee is not my cup of tea.
That's pretty nice. I like it.
Yeah, but it's
I like ridiculous things like that. You know me.
Yeah, that's me. Anyway, speaking of ridiculous things, what are we gonna do today?
Oh, we're back to Historical Tinder, right?
Yeah, I'm excited about this one too.
That idea that you were like, I don't know. Now you like it, Rebecca. What happened? Tell me about that.
I think this last time when you suggested this one, I didn't put the kibosh on it right away, did I?
No, but you weren't like overly excited. I love it when Rebecca takes a little while to answer. And I'm like, oh, there's some thinking going on.
There was some thinking I had to think about, like, the last Historical Tinder that we did was so good that when you suggested this one, I was like, well, yeah, of course they chose each other. They both swiped right or whatever. So
yes.
How are we going to make this one?
I know. First of all, don't get me confused between left and right. It's not my strong suit.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Right? That's correct. Sorry.
So we're going to just assume everybody knows how Tinder works.
Because we don't.
Because we don't.
we get the concept of it. We just don't know how to use it. We get the concept
of it. You see pictures of people. So that's very 16th century because it's like the portraits that they would get. And we talk so much about portraits in this podcast. I can't believe you guys still want to hear about it. So that's a point of connection. And it's people that not necessarily you're seeing every day, right? Because Tinder, you can, I think you can put your location in a new place or things like that. Or, I don't know, find people wherever you want to go. Okay. So that's another point. And then I just think that the person we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about two people. One of them at least had a lot of history in Tinder. A long history. Was the most successful Tinder user in the 16th century.
That sounds like Francis the First. We're not talking about Francis the First.
Even more. Yeah. Francis was more like in the backstage. He went public a lot, He went Instagram public a lot of times. This one we're going to talk about. Do you want to say who it is?
Yeah, okay, I guess I will. So today our Historical Tinder is Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn. I know. Why are we talking about these two again?
No. Anna's growing on me. Henry VIII is responsible for everything. I'm sorry to say.
But
he was a king. He had absolute power. He could have done whatever he wanted. He could have treated her nicely.
Well, he could have. But let's say he was also responsible for bringing millions of people to the interest of the Tudors. I mean, if it weren't for Henry and his 6 wives, I don't think as many people would be interested in the Tudors as they are.
I think I disagree.
Really? Okay.
I think with 2 wives, he had enough for eternity to be famous. I don't think the other 4 are relevant that much, other than Catherine Parr. I've said this before. Sorry to everyone who studies the rest of the wives. I would love them, but to me, it's Catherine Aragon and Anne Boleyn. Because imagine Henry and Anne, who we all know, and we don't need to talk about, they make the match and they were like in love with each other for years, and we have his letters, but we don't have her answers and all that. We know all of that. Imagine that would have worked out. I think we would still talk about the Tudors a lot. Why? Because I don't think it's Henry's triumph. Is the triumph of portraiture, is the triumph of art, is the triumph of magnificence and the Renaissance. We love the Renaissance.
Yeah.
We love the Antonismos, we love the Holbeins, and that's why we like Henry and Mary Tudor and Isabel de Castilla, because we see them. They're like that. They're like Kim Kardashian. Have you ever met her in person? I haven't, but I know what she looks like.
Yeah, it's true.
The power of portraiture and Renaissance art. Renaissance art, who doesn't like Renaissance art? So
I don't know anybody.
That's the power of the Tudors, not Henry VIII.
Interesting.
I think his daughter Elizabeth is a far better monarch, a far more famous monarch, trailblazing, a woman, didn't marry, giving like, I'm here and I'm powerful vibes. So I think Henry's overrated. Tremendously overrated. I think Anne Boleyn is much more interesting from a point of view of a human that goes from not nothing. She was part of the gentry, but to become Queen of England against Catherine of Aragon.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I hate to interrupt the flow, but I do have to plug an upcoming talk that I have coming up.
Yes.
Since you're talking about Anne Boleyn, because this Saturday.
Anne Boleyn?
We still have a few tickets left. This Saturday, Dr. Estelle Paranque is coming on to do a 45-minute talk on Anne Boleyn's time in France and the women who influenced her. I'm very excited about this. And then after her talk, I'll be doing a short interview with her, and then we will be opening up the floor to everybody's questions. So I'm so excited about that. If you're interested, please check out the link in the show notes. All right.
Oh, well, no one is better than Estelle Paranque to talk about the French court.
That's right. I love going to the source. I love going to the people who are from that country and speak the language.
We notice. Hola.
I think it's so important. I mean, it's not like just because I'm American doesn't mean I can't study people from England. But I think when you speak the language, it gives you an insight into the history a little better than someone who doesn't speak the language.
Yes, and you do a good job of bringing the true experts because, I know the Mary, the first course that's going on with Peter Safel.
Yeah.
Well, who else is going to give a course on Mary's imagery than Peter? I mean, that's the only person who can do that. It's like we were talking with James the other day, remember?
Yeah, James Taff.
Yes, James Taff. Thank you, James, for coming. I can't believe I interrupted you so much. I'm sorry. And told you what you have to do in your career. I'm very sorry, James. I hope you can forgive me and come back to the podcast. After my apology, I told him he's the only one who can find and this is important. I think we'll talk about historical Tinder, but I think you spot on with this, Rebecca, that it has to be the specialist on the matter in order to be something cool and relevant, because they're the people who know the topic back to front.
Yeah.
And we all have different personalities and this and that, but that's the people you can trust. They've been to the sources, they know the context and the culture. So in my case, that's why I was apologizing to James for not knowing more on the English court. That's not what I studied. I am tremendously interested in it. And that's why I like James so much. I'm like, I want you to be my friend and explain all these things to me. But I have to be humble when it comes to that side. And if I make mistakes with lineage in England and things like that, of course, I am not perfect. I know I look pretty perfect, but I'm not.
You do look pretty perfect.
Oh, thank you, Rebecca. Your transfer is about to be sent.
Thank you.
It's true. It's true.
It just came through.
Oh, good. I'm sorry I don't have more money. We're, close to the holidays, so I need to keep some cash.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
But yes, I think you have to talk to the experts. That's why we brought Alejandro Vergara to talk about Rubens.
Yeah.
You can't find anyone better to talk about Rubens and Velázquez in the case of Rubens, because he has studied this figure. He did his PhD on that. He's worked on it for 25 years, 26, he says. Let's set the record straight. I don't want to get into trouble. 26 years. And you can't go to another source that is better than that. So you're doing a great job. I think you're the best podcast out there.
Aw.
Oh, I'm
Hang on.
biased, but
Let me refund that money you just sent me.
yes. Oh, yep. Wait. Okay.
No, it's important to me to bring history to the people who are interested in it, and it's important for me to be responsible in the way that we bring history to people. And I love that I can work with people like you and Estelle and Dr. Peter and so many other amazing people who are specialists in their eras, or, and their topics.
Well,
So,
I don't know anyone that does that better than you. You just give people you make people feel at ease to feel comfortable to share their expertise. We get really excited when we talk about our expertise, but I mean, I can get very monotonous because I can talk about you're very good at handling those things with me, keeping track that I don't interrupt too much. And also just I want to talk to you. That's the thing, you are very interested, and also you have a lot of knowledge too, because you have your own research and you bring so much to the table. Very good interviewer and also researcher.
oh,
And she's
wow.
pretty. Look at her.
Oh my gosh. I did. Okay, let's get to the top. You're making me uncomfortable now. Let's talk about
Oh, I'm sorry.
historical.
It's historical dinner. A little bit flirty. You get uncomfortable. Okay. Let's talk about Henry and Anne.
Let's talk about
And now she
Henry.
touches her hair. Oh,
My
come
face
on.
is like
Henry and
I'm
Anne.
laughing so hard. My face is bright red. Okay, so anyway, Henry and Anne, historical Tinder.
Yes.
Okay, so I feel like sometimes there's like this myth that Henry was such a playboy and that he had all these mistresses. But do we really know for sure how many mistresses he had? I feel like, well, we know how many wives he cheated on.
Let me pull out my notebook on mistresses. No, let's be serious for a second here. Henry was born in 1491, second born son of Henry VII. So he had an eldest brother called Arthur, who was betrothed to Catherine of Aragon. That's what I did my master's dissertation on. The whole marriage negotiations and the wedding festivities that we know were very famous in 1501 when Arthur and Catherine were married in London, right? Very important wedding. Henry was there dancing, was 10 years old dancing, being the center of attention. I think Henry was more of a narcissist, and a show off, than someone who would just fall in love all the time. I think he needed change. He needed things to be new, to be fresh, to be exciting. Traits of someone who probably felt like he was a spare for a long time because he was, but then Arthur dies.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was probably like 6 feet tall when he was 10 years old, too.
Probably because he was a very tall man in a time where people weren't as tall, because now if you're 6 foot and you live in Minnesota, you're just average.
It was average.
And I'm just tiny in Minnesota. I'm like, it's always funny when I'm in Minnesota and I'm like, oh, well, I'm not tiny. I'm an average size woman. But like I walk around, I'm like, oh, okay. And then I go to Spain and I'm like, oh, okay, that's different. People in Minnesota are very tall.
They are. It must be all the corn and potatoes we eat here.
And the jeans and everything and the hard work and the long winters. Who knows? But Henry was taller than average in a time where people were short. Catherine was very, very short. Isabel was short. I don't think we know about Anne being tall or short, do we?
Oh, gosh.
You should ask Estelle. Because I don't know if there's descriptions of her, but I don't recall one where her height is mentioned. I think it was something like her neck was long, but not her height.
No, it
in Catherine's case, in Catherine's case, yes, because it was striking. She was strikingly short. Catherine.
Wow. And was Mary short too, right?
Shortish, but Mary was very, very thin, unlike Catherine, who over the years became, with pregnancies and that, so many frustrated pregnancies, became stout, they describe her. Also the fashion and also someone who's shorter, it's different. Mary's described, Mary was a very good mix of Henry and Catherine. She wasn't exactly, Catherine was exactly like Isabel la Católica, Isabel the First, and she was her youngest daughter, but had more of a red hair, and so it's perfect for England. Send her off.
Yeah.
In the case of Mary, they describe her being very fair and beautiful in her youth, with one thing that also Catherine had, porcelain skin.
Yeah.
She's described like that in her youth. The thing is, we get the picture more of when she marries Philip. She's almost 40. Women look different at almost 40, okay?
Yeah.
We know. Thank you. So she's not described that way anymore. Also, I think Mary went through so much. By the time she becomes queen, she has to become assertive and change from being like a pleasant princess to a ruthless queen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and we see that in the Antoinette Moore. And if you see the Antoinette Moore, that woman has better skin than I do, you know? Yeah. So we have to see Mary with a new light. She transformed throughout her life. Catherine did so too. And Henry was described by an ambassador. You remember this?
Henry.
The Italian ambassador who said,
more beautiful than a woman or something, like a pretty lady.
He was so handsome to him. He had such a pleasant face that he would even be a pretty woman. So basically, Henry was handsome, but had a feminine features for an Italian, probably because of his fair skin and his blue eyes. And he was just young. And they described him as athletic. You know, he was a hot guy when he married Catherine.
Yeah.
When he met Anne Boleyn, I don't think so much. We have the Hornbook miniatures. They're dated. He's in his 35th year of life. That's when he basically started. So midlife crisis, of course. Mm-hmm. And you're looking like, well, it's not a bad looking man, but he's, you know what I mean. Age is also happening for Henry.
Yes.
So they marry a very different guy.
Yeah. So
like, marries, yeah.
I'm going to say in the early days of his reign, he was this attractive, young, athletic, charismatic, musical, all of those things, which would have been attractive to many women. And then as he got older, yes. Okay. And as he got as he got older, then it became more his power that he held. Maybe that became attractive. If women were attracted to him, it was because he was powerful, not because he was athletic and handsome anymore.
I've read many sources, queens talking about how they felt about the king or whatever, and sources in the 16th century, 17th century, 18th century, 19th century. Women in those in the elite are attracted not to power, it's just you're compelled by the structure. If the king wants you, you have to, and he is attractive. He's like, we have different mental categories in our brain. These people worshipped the royalty.
Yeah.
They had their minds were very different to our minds. You know, we talk about them like they're our best friends always because of the pictures and that, but we are miles away from them in terms of what mentally we think. You can't really escape that. And we've touched a little bit about this. But before we go into Anne and Henry too much, let's remember, Arthur dies, Henry's betrothed to Catherine, right?
Yep.
Henry's betrothed to Catherine after Henry VII says that he wants to marry Catherine. And Isabel la Católica is like, over my dead body, send her back to Spain right now, immediately, or, you know, I might send you an army and then we'll talk about it in the battlefield. And Henry was like, okay, no, let's marry her to Henry.
Okay, I was just kidding. Don't send an army.
No, never mind. She's very pretty. And he said, when Catherine arrives, the first thing that Henry does is take her to the library and give her a nice big diamond ring.
Mm.
It was like Beauty and the Beast.
Wow.
You've seen Beauty and the Beast, right?
Honestly, it was like one of my favorite Disney movies.
Yes, but what I mean is these people were never really nabbed that might end up being his next wife too, and as he wanted.
Yeah.
So, first of all, that's Catherine having to navigate that. The father-in-law who's a bit handsy, you know? Then
Henry.
Handsy Henry.
Oh, it's our new one.
That you have, you're so quick for those.
Yeah, okay.
That's what he's going to be called, Handsy Henry. Handsy Henry, when Isabel dies, and Fernando is like, never mind the money, we'll see what happens, you know?
Yeah.
Because Fernando is the one now in charge of sending the money for the dowry to marry Henry and Catherine.
Yeah.
But that's not his money, it's Isabel's money. So he has to wait for the executors. Women in Spain, especially a queen, had her own, she wrote her own will. That was her domains. He was not allowed to touch that. He was protecting that patrimony. She left him in charge of that, but he couldn't just do what he wanted. And then he was a cunning king who Machiavelli wrote about. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he said, Catherine, you're doing a great job. Just do your thing. And Catherine, who was, you know, a people pleaser, especially with her parents, said, okay, Dad, if you leave me here stranded, I'll become an ambassadress. And Fernando was like, I think you're okay for that. Are you ready? Come on, go for it. So Handsy Henry and Catherine start negotiating. Imagine that, though, right? That's difficult.
Yeah.
The guy was like, I wanted you in my bed, but I guess you're the ambassadress now. You're going to marry my son. Gets very, very anxious because they're not sending the money from Spain. And one day, and this is very Henry VIII too. This is something that the both men have in common. One day he's like, we've had enough here. I'm going to take action and do something else. And that's where the negotiation starts to marry Henry to Margaret of Austria, who Anne Boleyn goes to later on.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
This historical Tinder is so complex because it's 5 characters and they're all dating each other or trying to. So Margaret of Austria, who had been married to Catherine's brother,
yes,
died of, they say, love exhaustion.
Yeah, too much loving.
And had to leave. Like, you're great, but you know what you did to the prince. You have to go now.
Go marry the English king.
Yeah, go and do something else. Go and rule the Netherlands or something. Create a portrait gallery, or I don't know. Do your thing. Raise the next emperor or something, and his sisters. So Margaret is Henry has to formally protest his marriage to Catherine. His dad makes him, and denounce that marriage and say that he's didn't do it on the free will. Fast forward to Henry's death. Handsy Henry dies. Handsy Henry dies, and the first thing that Henry VIII does is marry Catherine of Aragon.
Yeah.
He says, my dad told me in his deathbed. You're right. Your dad told you whatever. He wrote to Fernando saying, if I could choose amongst all the women in the world, I would choose her. He was in love with her.
Yeah.
Because he could see what she had done, and she was fabulous, young, a bit older than him, more experienced, very proper, very pretty, very smart, very educated. Who doesn't like?
Right. Well, just imagine he has spent all of his childhood in England. All he pretty much knows are the English people around him.
Do you know Henry spoke Spanish?
Oh, I didn't.
Henry spoke Spanish because Catherine taught him, and they've spoken Spanish quite often.
Wow. I'm sure she was attractive in so many ways to him. She was different. She was intelligent, like beautiful, all of those things. And he was like,
she had the standard, even though she was very short, we said she had the standard beauty for the time. Red hair, blue eyes, very pale skin. And then she was a perfect courtier because she had been raised in a court where her mother believed that princesses should be not only able to sing and saw and this and that, but to know Latin, to be educated. And that is next level. And that's why everybody loves her at court, because she knows how to play her role. And she's good natured too, nature is not something you can fight, right?
Right.
And now we can talk about how I think Catherine had good nature. I don't think Anne Boleyn had as good a nature as Catherine did. I think Anne Boleyn had more fury inside of her, more passion in many ways and respects, to have her opinion asserted, used other methods. What if Anne would have been like Catherine? The younger woman that comes when your wife is 40 and you decide to marry, but she has that same character, right? Same pleasant and this and that. I think they could have made it.
I
I
think
think Anne and Henry would have made it.
I think Henry was attracted to Anne because she was different than Catherine at the time. He was
Right.
looking for something different, and there she was. And then he
And
realized that's not what he wanted.
Henry went back to someone somewhat like Catherine a
Yes,
few
maybe.
times.
Yeah, yeah, he
A
sure
few
did.
times. Jane Seymour and Catherine Parr,
Yeah.
named after, yes. And he had like a German mishap there and a little girl. Oh, let's not, I don't want to, no. So I think, and yes, Anne is described in many ways as opposite to Catherine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Dark
physically,
eyes,
yes.
the French flair, and that's why she's been portrayed over the years as the seductive mistress.
Vixen. Yeah.
I don't think she was a seductive mistress, and I don't think Catherine was a total prude.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about Anne Boleyn a little bit and her life before Henry when it came to men, because everybody knows that Anne wanted to marry Henry Percy before
Yes,
Henry VIII came into the
yes,
picture. And it
yes.
seems, and I'm just going to remind everybody, it's been many, many years since I read all of my Anne Boleyn books, so that's a little bit foggy in my brain. But if I remember correctly, they really like were in love and they were ready to do this and get married until Wolsey came into the picture and was like, oh, no, 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 you can't. This is not going to happen. And I don't know that Wolsey necessarily did that because Henry VIII wanted Anne. I think it had more to do with family connections and how this just wasn't going to work out the way that they wanted it to. And so Anne was in love and she was told she couldn't marry this man she loved. How would you react?
I want to say in that case, it's very different, totally opposite to Catherine of Aragon's case, because Catherine was told since she was born who she was going to marry. And if that wasn't going to work out, she was going to marry the next one in line.
Yeah.
So that's the very different lives for Catherine and Anne.
Yeah.
So we don't know if Catherine was ever in love. We assume she was in love with Henry because they did say once when she was young, she was very, very too close to her confessor, who was a very attractive young man from Spain. So, I mean, I can't blame her. She did. I think it was just, but I think why I'm saying this is because I think this is just surrounding women's faces all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Of course, women fell in love with other people that weren't the guys that they were going to marry, especially these women who had little to say in their own marriages.
Yeah.
I do think that Catherine grew to be in love with Henry. And I do think that Anne was in love with Henry Percy probably, but grew to be in love with Henry because Henry was very persuasive, still tall, still not, bound to a chair and all those things. So she didn't get the best Henry, but she got the second best Henry, right?
Yeah.
The height of his power. A guy at 35 is still, pretty mighty. So, yeah, I think she was in love with Henry Percy, but she realized you can't do impossible sometimes,
Yeah. Yeah. And then, of
And
course,
I think she was ambitious too. I think the being the Queen of England was something that Anne really tried to do her way and was very unsuccessful because you can only do it one way.
yeah, I can't even imagine. I mean, I could see how you might want to grasp for that power to sit next to the king and to have the power of a queen, but how terrifying to have that power as well, because it can be taken away as fast as it's given.
And especially after you give birth to a daughter.
Yeah. Yes.
Because if this is anyone, I mean, Ellie Woodacre would talk about this a lot. Any woman who is a queen, first and foremost, needs to have an heir to sort of, to make her positions solidified. But then it has to be a male heir.
Right.
So if a boy would have been born, and remember that Anne Boleyn had a miscarriage on Catherine of Aragon's funeral.
That's right.
If that boy, it was a boy. Imagine for Henry, who was very superstitious, I think that day everything changed for him. And then if that boy would have been born, Elizabeth would have been second in line.
Yeah.
We would have had Henry IX. And I think that we could have had with Henry and Catherine, because they had a boy in 1511 too. I think just Henry had a problem having boys. because Edward dies young.
Yeah, he does. Or
Not having
was he
girls.
poisoned? Who knows?
Well, Henry had a boy. Catherine of Aragon had at least 2 miscarriage. I mean, had delivered a live boy in 1511 on New Year's Day,
Yeah.
and that boy lived for 2 months. And she had other miscarriages. I think it was Henry's problem. It was not because Juana, Catherine's sister, had Charles V in the toilet.
I love that we always come back to that.
Oh, always. I mean,
we're still waiting for a picture from somebody of this toilet.
Yes, please send us a picture. I mean, this is not like a typical toilet, okay? This is a very fancy toilet in the castle. It doesn't look like a toilet.
Right.
Structure. Well, anyway, let's not dwell on the toilet too much. And then she had Fernando, who was born in Alcalá de Henares, the same place as Catherine, Catherine of Aragon. So she had 2 boys. What I'm saying is it was probably Henry's problem for the boys.
Yeah.
So let's just assume that Henry IX, Anne Boleyn, Henry IX is born. He would have been Henry, of course. I think he used Edward. Oh, Edward, maybe, because he did use Edward with Jane Seymour. I think their marriage would have made it. Obviously.
Yeah. Oh gosh. No
Even
doubt.
if Anne was, a bit, salty like she was, because she would have a son, and that would be okay.
Yeah.
And she could have become a Catherine de Medici, right?
Yeah. And Henry could have had affairs with other women, and it wouldn't have mattered because he had his son.
And Anne would have had affairs with the men, like she did, right?
Oh, there we go. You're going to get people upset with us again?
That's what she was trial for. What are you telling me? To change history? I mean, people need to take a break.
Stop it. Do you remember
saint?
Do you remember Rebecca's rage on Substack? This is exactly what I rage about. Stop repeating these things.
Okay. What do I know? Anyway. No, but making the point is, I think they would have made it if they had that boy.
For sure.
If she would have been less vocal, I think they would have even made it with Elizabeth. I think Henry would have been aging. He was an aging monarch already. The lifespan is not. And if Catherine would have been if Anne would have been like Catherine and been more persuasive in the back end of things, and just the utmost respect in front of everyone, which to narcissists is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think Henry would have ended up caving and giving in and giving the throne to Elizabeth.
I think,
isn't that cool?
We talk about this all the time, but Anne wasn't raised to be queen like Catherine was, right? That's the big difference. Catherine knew her place. She knew her role. Anne was not raised that same way. Not from birth, she wasn't expected to be a queen.
No, but she was trained really well by Margaret of Austria and Claude of France.
Yes.
So I think it's a character nature thing. I think it's a passion inside. I think it's a fire. I've always said this. I can relate more to Anne Boleyn's character in my own self. I'm more of an Anne Boleyn character than a Catherine of Aragon. Right?
I'm more of a Catherine of Aragon.
Yes, you totally like Catherine of Aragon. And I just want to keep my head over my shoulders. But I'm more like that. I'm more like, if there's something that I think is unfair, I'll speak up.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, I shouldn't have said that.
Right.
I'm sure Anne would go back to her chambers and be like, oh my God, why did I say that?
Right.
Fun guy was not happy tonight. And to Henry, she said things to and Henry was like, woman. You know, when your king calls you woman, you're in trouble.
Right.
Because you're the queen and he calls you woman. He's making a point.
Yeah.
He's making the point you need to know your place.
Right. You are just a woman.
And that's why he chose Jane Seymour. Was he attracted to Jane Seymour? Probably too. She was young. And Henry was a guy who liked everyone, I think.
Well, if he wasn't attracted to her, would he really have gone after her? I don't think he would.
Yes. I think attraction was different. He wanted a male heir. And if she looked like she could have a boy, Yes. I think he would have been attracted to most women. Yes.
And the big thing about Jane, and I always repeat this, is the track record from her family. Her mother had 10 children. And like the first 4, I think, were boys. So what is
exactly? So, and I think you and I are women, and we don't know how straight guys work very much well, because I've been told by my straight guy friends that, you know, I swipe a lot to the ladies in Tinder. Okay. Do you always like them? No, but you know.
Yeah. So much I want to say, but it'll be
all
inappropriate.
Women are pretty. Well, that's nice. I think it's nice. I think a lot of guys see women attractive in most shapes and colors and forms and things, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's what keeps, you know, the species going.
Well,
I think it's us women who are more picky.
Yeah. And for men, I don't think it's always, like you said, it's not always about beauty. Sometimes it's about other things that they bring to the table. Like, you know, we've talked before how it's attractive that men are funny. Like, I'm sure it was the same for men. Like, it's not always based solely on appearance.
Well, and then going back to Anne and Henry, imagine that. Your wife you've had so much sorrow with your wife. And you love her, and they were always united when she would have these miscarriages, and the boy was born and he died and all that. And, you know, and when Mary was born, Henry said to an ambassador. Henry spent a lot of time with Italian ambassadors. That's a route I want to go down one day.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, when Mary was born, the Venetian ambassador came to say, "Congratulations, Your Majesty, a girl." So that was pretty bad of him to just, you know. And you know what Henry said? That's a good defense of his daughter and his wife at that point. He said, "It's a girl now, but she's healthy. The boy shall fall."
Mm. Yeah.
He was defending both his wife and his child at that point. Imagine how difficult each comment, each time she has a miscarriage, she has another one, she has another one, she has another one. Of course, a couple is going to drift apart. And then this young girl comes back from France, educated, funny, witty. The world is her oyster. She doesn't have any responsibility. She's in love with, and Henry's like, that one.
Yeah. Yeah. She's full of life.
Full of life, witty. You know, the French court. I'm not going to go into Francis I today and, you know, the Frenchest guy there was. But you learn things in the French court that you couldn't learn in England, or definitely not in Spain. We all think Spain is really fun, but it's really fun now.
It wasn't so fun.
In the 16th century, in the court of the Habsburgs, you know, they were black for a reason. They were the serious people.
Yeah.
It's funny, no? Because I think that the tables are turned and people assume that, you know, but back in the day, the English were
the wild ones?
Yes. Yes. I mean, Henry fall in love here and there. Did you ever hear about Philip II falling in love with anyone, or just getting married to who he had to?
Yeah, I guess I don't know enough about him, but no, I've never heard of him falling in love.
And Charles V, he marries his cousin. Do you think she was very pretty, but he was bound to that. They were just doing a different thing.
Duty.
Right? Henry doesn't feel that way because it's a new dynasty. He doesn't have that pressure.
Yeah.
He's just like a new rich king, you know?
Right.
And new money.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can marry whoever I want, and I want this one.
Right.
Swipe. And he keeps swiping, and Catherine's like, I'm still here.
Right. Yeah.
Having your baby girl married.
And in the meantime, he's swiping right on Bessie Blount and getting her pregnant.
Yes.
And
getting her pregnant, having a boy. Imagine that. Imagine how that just broke their marriage.
I can't.
Forever.
That is,
you can't have, because,
when he gave Henry Fitzroy titles, I can only, devastating. It's the best word to use on how Catherine of Aragon must have felt, like a gut punch. Like, I can't believe he's doing this. I'm speechless about the fact that he even did that to her.
Imagine when Elizabeth was born. Sorry. No, she wouldn't. She was too good of a person to feel like, I told you so. I'm not. I can say,
yeah.
How did that go for you, Henry?
Did you get everything you wanted?
Yes. What?
Did you get everything you wanted, Henry?
Yes. Did you get the boy you wanted?
Nope, you didn't.
And then what happens to Henry Fitzroy? He dies.
Yeah, not long after Anne Boleyn is executed.
So what does that say about whose inability to have male heirs?
Right.
It's all Henry's fault. That's what I started. I go around trips and talk about toilets, but my idea has always been, we keep saying Catherine of Aragon failed to give him. No, he failed himself.
Yeah, he did. Well, we know. Yeah. I mean, we know that men determine the sex of the child. They did not know that back then. They had no idea that it was the man who determined the sex, but also the strength of the men.
Exactly. Exactly.
Who knew what was going on?
Henry was not having children with people he was deeply related to, like the Habsburgs were.
Yeah.
These are women he's not related to.
Right.
So, it's totally different. But the Habsburgs also failed because they ended up marrying each other, and that was also a problem. So it's very complex, the things they didn't know about. If Henry would have been like Fernando of Aragon, who's a cunning, much more interesting monarch, in my opinion, to far more impressive things. But, he's not an English-speaking monarch, so he doesn't get as much credit in the Anglo-speaking world. Fernando was still a very, very, let's say, macho guy, but gave his wife her place, gave his daughters, well, not Juana because he put her in, but still made his daughter, he could do things to encourage change, not because he wanted, because he didn't have another option. Henry didn't realize he didn't have, but he ran out of options. He should have supported. I think Elizabeth was the last time he had time to do that right.
Yeah.
And he didn't. Because then he would have done things right. It would reinstated Mary, reinstated Elizabeth, and then wouldn't have gone down in history like the fool he was.
I do wonder if there was at any point that Anne Boleyn downloaded Tinder and considered the idea of swiping right on somebody else. I do wonder.
Being married?
Yeah,
after. Being married?
And when Henry started to turn on her and, realizing.
You want me to be completely honest with you? I don't think so.
No.
Whether she came as a virgin to marriage, that's where I have my doubts.
Yeah. I think I agree.
Think she probably had sex before marriage, but not after marriage with another guy. Not too risky.
Yeah. She
definitely
wasn't dumb.
Definitely not with the brother, and definitely didn't do witchcraft or anything that she was accused of.
Yeah.
She was under such pressure. She was probably having depression episodes, maniac episodes because of the pressure. Is he going to kill me? Imagine.
Yeah.
Catherine of Aragon dying, probably a lot of guilt. She valued and loved Catherine of Aragon. Imagine how much it must have torn her to realize the king was not going to cave because he wanted her. Right. She had to turn against her mistress. Why do you think she went to see Margaret? She was raised by Margaret of Austria and Claude of France because they were friends with Catherine of Aragon. Yeah. Not because anyone else, sorry to say. So I feel very bad for Anne. I feel like Henry could have done things. He had the absolute power. It's his fault, I'm sorry to say.
It is such an interesting time to navigate, after reading Sophie's book on Elizabeth Boleyn, even how close Elizabeth Boleyn was with Catherine of Aragon, how uncomfortable it must have been for both of them to have to shift gears and essentially turn against this woman who had been so good to them for so long.
And you know what Catherine's last advice to her own daughter was, and she's been criticized for this? Obey your father in everything. Because he's the king. Unless it's against your conscience and God, which is a very good escape for everything too. Yes. But it's what we've talked about, is what ruled their lives, right?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Catherine of Aragon had a conversation with Anne Boleyn at one point and said, you protect yourself. And then I don't know what to do. He's not going to back down. I think at one point they became rivals, obviously.
Yes.
But I think at the beginning, Catherine would have talked to her. This has happened before. Probably Catherine was the one to say, don't sleep with him. Or did you?
Right. I've seen it.
If you just keep on, we'll find you a match. We'll find you a match. Because Catherine was a matchmaker. She was the one in charge of Tinder. You don't know that, right?
She was the creator of Tudor Tinder.
No, her mother was the first OG Tinder matchmaker. Still, no, she's known for this. And it's smart. You get people together, then who is going to tell the story that how you met and things like that, right?
Yeah.
And you making alliances in the right places, right? I think if Anne would have listened to Catherine, she wouldn't have married Henry VIII. She would have stayed strong. And Henry would have ended up losing interest, and she would have ended up marrying someone and not losing her head and having children and being happy. Well, all the happy can be in the 16th century.
And we would not know her name, probably.
We would because she was one of the mistresses of Henry VIII, you know, or at least the one that got away. And she would be very famous because Henry VIII was well known for all his mistresses, right? But I think the fact that Henry knew that Anne had done something in France was why he pursued her so much. Because he's like, she knows things that I want for me.
Yeah. You know what I was just thinking of when you were talking about that, and at the beginning, how you mentioned that Henry was a narcissist. I see the narcissistic traits in him when it comes to women, because he can't be alone. He quickly jumps from one woman to the next. And even after Jane Seymour died and he was so devastated, he still had these young women at court who were vying for his attention that he was latching onto before, you know, Anne of Cleves. And then when he's with Anne of Cleves, he's flirting with Catherine Howard. And, you know, it blows my mind. He was such a narcissist. And I don't think we talk about that.
Yeah, with a big ego, but then very quick to take criticism very badly.
Yes.
Very, very insistent if he didn't get his way, because he always got his way.
Yeah. And
I think the only person that was able to manage him long enough was Catherine of Aragon, because even Wolsey, who substituted Catherine as, in Spanish we say valido, the person who's ruling for you. In the first 5 years of his reign is Catherine. Mm-hmm. And then Wolsey pushes her aside. And then Wolsey at the end of his life, just like Anne Boleyn, what did he say about Catherine? I'm so sorry. She's so mighty. They even say she's mighty even to be a guy. See how we're the gender difference?
Yeah.
This is said a lot about the women in the Spanish monarchy, that they're like dudes, you know? And it's because they are stoic. If you insult me in public, instead of going up, if I would be like, well, how dare you? But Catherine would be like, I'll see you tomorrow. And then go in private, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So they were just perfect courtiers, the Spanish women. And Henry was a mess. And that's why we know him, we love him, and we're obsessed with him. He was a mess. Who doesn't like a messy monarch that marries 5 women and 1 child?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to, maybe it's not the best thing to finish, but I want to bring up the fact that it's very hard for me when people say they admire Henry VIII despite the fact of things he did. Because I can't admire a guy who marries a child or defend him in some way. No, sorry, he's not defendable. By standards even of the time, what you're saying, like having a wife flirting with a 14-year-old or 13,
whatever she was, it was young. Yeah.
You're a mess, dude. You're just a mess. You can't keep your stuff together, for not saying a worse word. It's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true.
He was a mess. What a mess.
What a tool.
This is why we call him the tool. I mean, it's all, the history speaks for itself. How can, you know,
do you ever get comments on that? Do you ever get mail saying, how dare you hate on Henry VIII?
No. Well,
There you go.
maybe.
Everybody
I mean,
agrees.
I was going to say, well, maybe there's the occasional person who talks about how much Henry brought to England. But
Oh, yes.
but like you said, he married a very young
Can I have
girl.
their email address? I want to send them an email.
He murdered two of his wives. I mean,
Yes.
what kind of respectable man would do that? Like,
He thought of marrying his children.
yeah, yeah. Ooh.
That's true. Henry Fitzroy and Mary Tudor, there was a project to marry them.
I mean, was he thinking
They're
that?
brother and sister.
Yeah, well, he was going the Habsburg route.
No, I've told you this again. You don't marry
know,
sisters and brothers.
Only
Cousins.
uncles and nieces.
Only uncles and first cousins. Okay? It's different. I'm defending this. It's incredible.
Love that you're defending it. It's all around. It's icky by today's standards. We look at it now and we go, ick, that is so gross. Why would you do that? But it wasn't that strange back then. It wasn't like.
No, and it wasn't strange for an older man to marry a very young girl either. So they're all gross. Yes,
I mean, Henry Cavill did it with Catherine Willoughby. She was 14. I mean,
that wasn't Henry Cavill's best move. Sorry, Henry. We're talking. Let's clarify that. Because Henry Cavill played a role in which, because Henry Cavill has done nothing wrong.
No. He played Charles Brandon, but we just call Charles Brandon Henry Cavill now, which I don't think
Henry
he
Cavill
does.
is absolutely perfect. I've heard he's a very nice man. I hope he can come to the show one day.
I don't, after all of the things that I've said about him on the show and all the things I've posted online, I'm not sure he'd be comfortable coming out.
He's like, no way. Those two are crazy.
Should I tell you about some of the videos I was watching of him yesterday?
I bet he had a beard.
He had his shirt off too. It was pretty nice.
Oh, yeah. I've seen some videos like that too. Yes.
Okay. Anyway, what were we talking about? Henry Cavill. Oh, and
Henry, we just admire you.
We really do. But he was older and he married his 14-year-old ward after his wife, the Dowager Queen of France, Mary Tudor, died. I mean,
yeah, but why?
Because she had money.
Why did she have money? You know why?
Because
I can tell you.
We know who her mother was, right?
Yes, and what her mother did. Her mother, coming from Spain, Maria de Salinas, defends her daughter's right to inherit. Very Spanish of her. Very Castile of her. Why? Because she can't conceive that her daughter can't inherit over her nephew. She's like, no. We're changing the law now. Oh, the law doesn't say that. I'm going to litigate and we'll see you in court. And she wins.
I love that.
And she wins for her daughter. And that's why she's attractive to. And Charles Brown, sometimes, I mean, as much as I've said, it's all awful, it is. But sometimes there's a way to protect that child. It's just, it is. By our standards, it's all wrong.
Yeah.
But this is why it's so interesting, because this was all done in networks of families, dynasties, and Maria de Salinas fought for her daughter's right to inherit, and that's why she was a wealthy heiress, and that's why she was attracted to someone who was very high up in court, like Charles Brandon. Now you got me thinking.
I
want to see it 2 years again.
I think I'm going to put a picture of Henry Cavill as my screensaver on my desktop.
Oh, yeah. A reminder. I don't need reminders.
Yeah. He shows up in my feed on social media all the time now. Anyway, the algorithm has figured me out.
Yeah, they can hear you like, oh my God, someone's obsessed. Let's hear more.
I know. I never was. I don't know what happened. You kept talking about him so much. Suddenly I was like,
I do. I just talk a lot and make people think of things.
You do.
I just repeat it over and over.
Yeah, you do.
Do you ever think about Catherine of Aragon? I bet you do.
I'll be honest. I don't think about her as much as I think about Thomas Seymour in his life.
That's good. And you should. And that's why and when I have questions about him, I'm come to you because you're the specialist in him. So, and that's what we were talking about at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
We're quirky people obsessed with the topic, but then we like to talk about the topic related to the topics around it.
Yes.
Definitely don't like the 21st century. That's why we're like, no.
Yeah, stay away. Boring.
Boring. Let's live in the 16th century.
It is interesting. It is like traveling back in time and trying to understand people who were similar to us, yet so very different.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not royalty. I wish I was, but no. And then it's my life has just been pleasant. I'm
Right.
going to say, if you can, we're very lucky to live in the. We're look. I mean, I know it's hard times now, and there's a lot of unrest and things, but we are the luckiest humans ever to be alive. You know, we have penicillin, we have we have painkillers, we have just the health stuff.
We have
It's
Zoom. Look, we have Zoom. We can talk to people who aren't
I
in the
know
same place as us. We can talk to
we
people
have
around the
Chat
world.
GPT, ask them about everything. We have we have everything. We're still human though.
Yes.
We have to connect with each other on a human level too. So sometimes the people you do that with are far away, like you are in Minnesota now, and I'm in Connecticut. Because I'm still in Yale, guys, 2 weeks ago. But for me, this is human connection. I much rather, when I go and see you and we have a coffee and we can hug and that. But this is good for now, and good enough for me because we connect on a level that I don't connect with other people with you, right? Because we have common interests. We're both pretty. And we do a great podcast, the best podcast in the world.
You guys, you just got a little insight of what it's like to be friends with Emma.
Yes.
Because we're both pretty.
Yes, we're pretty girls. Smart girls. Everybody knows. It's not like a secret, Rebecca.
I love you, Emma. Honestly, I feel so lucky that I get to do every Thursday episode with you. You guys, doing it alone for so many years was fine, but it's lonely, And when you get the opportunity to do it with somebody who you respect and you adore as much as I respect and adore Emma, it just makes I feel alive. I mean, and I don't want guests who are on my Tuesday episodes to think that I don't feel that way with them, but it's different because Emma and I have this bond. And I think you guys can tell too when I've bonded with somebody and have a good connection with somebody, it comes out. And I just feel so lucky that I get to spend every Thursday with.
Yes, me too. And to all the guests, I love you too, guys. I've just, it's this is what I wanted to do. And you've given me a platform to do it. And then it's just clicked so well emotionally. I'm a very emotional person, even though, I spend my time in the 16th century and 15th centuries. For me, the human connection has to be, or it's very tough for me to show up and be relaxed, to be my quirky self that you guys by now know I am. Mm-hmm. It flows much better when I'm at ease, right? And that's why I think this works so well and will continue to work so well if Rebecca allows me to do so. I don't know. She might have new plans.
Yeah.
2026.
I'm already plotting who my Anne Boleyn is going to be. You're my Catherine of Aragon. We'll see who. I'm kidding.
Substitute. Okay. Okay. And I only have one daughter. That's true.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to replace you with an Anne Boleyn.
Oh, you better not.
Oh my gosh.
I just have to talk to my Spanish cousin, the emperor.
Get me shut down, right?
Charles, she's trying to do it. He already knows. You're being watched.
Yikes. Yikes. Oh my gosh.
You are being watched from Spain. I want you to know we have a lot of listeners from Spain now. People like our podcast in Spain because
thanks to you.
Well, because it's a very interesting podcast, but also we speak very clearly. And that to people who want to, practice their English, and you have a very nice accent, and I think they can understand some things I say, and they like it. So I've been told we've got a few fans now in Spain, more than a few.
I love that. We have fans all around. You know what? I took a count once of how many countries listen to the show, and they're almost all of the countries listen.
As long as you don't say more than there are. Like the other day, someone did in the top. I'm not going to say it.
Listen to in over 300 countries. There are 300 countries.
Okay. Countries in Mars. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot, and I was humbled and pleased to find out that people listen all over the world, and
me too. It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is exciting, and to think
I do think we have a lot of Minnesota listeners. We should maybe do a gathering. I don't know if Minnesota wants to speak up.
I did. You know what? I did a call out on social media asking how many people live in Minnesota, and the response was unbelievable. How many people in Minnesota listened or are interested in the tutors and want to do a meetup. And so we'll plan one, but I think it's a little tricky doing it in the winter in this state because people
Minnesota?
Yeah.
Why? It can be an episode of Fargo season 4 or 5.
Oh my God. We just had
Massacre in the Tudor Convention.
Yeah. We just had a snowstorm last week and roads were closed. And so I want to be able to do it.
I can't wait to get back.
It's still not freezing cold. I mean, yesterday was cool.
Oh, they do this. They start downplaying it. Do it more. Say it's not that cold.
It's not. It's in the 20s this week, which is not that cold for winter here.
I can't wait to go back home.
And that's 20 degrees Fahrenheit for those who live in the Celsius world.
For those in Spain, don't listen to the degrees thing. You don't know what it means. It's very cold.
You just wear layers. That's all. You just wear layers.
Yeah, that's all you need to do, guys. They wear layers, sure.
and
never leave the house until March. Usually.
Oh my God.
Am I wrong? But then that first day in March, where for the people who do Celsius, when it goes to zero, just to zero, and you go out in a t-shirt and you're like, oh, that feels nice. Yeah. That's how it is.
It is, yeah, because that feels warm.
Lovely. But it'll be beautiful. I can't wait to have a white Christmas. That's always nice.
It's definitely white. You're coming home to white.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited about that. Who doesn't like a nice white Christmas?
Today, I just have to say, maybe I'll include a picture at the end here. Today is one of those days where I woke up and the trees all have that white frosty snow on it, and it's just so beautiful.
Since you have a global audience, Rebecca, I think you should post more pictures. Minnesota is very beautiful in all its seasons for different reasons. And I know what you're talking about exactly. And those days that it's very clear, crisp, and beautiful. It's a winter spectacle. I think you should post a lot more pictures because people are and the frozen lakes, and it's just nature's wonders, in Minnesota. And then, so the winter is definitely harsh, and I complain about it because it's very, very cold, guys. Don't listen to her. It's extremely cold, but it's very beautiful. So, it's something that people should see and experience. So
yeah, you definitely, and come November, December, don't come in like January or February, because that's when it gets really
we all
cold.
Shut down. Don't talk to people. We're in caves. We're like,
that is when it gets really cold here is January and February, and you're just like waiting for spring. Like, all right, let's get this. Where's the sun?
Write a book, finish a PhD, like I did, do something like that. That's the only time I could be like, okay, this is the time to write this.
Yeah.
And I did it all writing in the winter in Minnesota. So it's good for, if you have a project you need to concentrate on, make yourself cozy in a little spot.
Come to Minnesota. We should be the Minnesota ambassadors, right?
Yes, I think we should.
Anyway, we've just been talking about Minnesota for like 10 minutes and everybody already tuned out.
No, they won't, because they like us. So we're still engaging, even though we're not talking our topic.
And
Minnesota is amazing. And in general, traveling is amazing,
Yes.
So maybe not in the winter, and getting together is amazing. So in the spring, when everybody's like, yay, we're back to being people again. In Minnesota, we can get together with the listeners.
Yep.
And also, Rebecca, I want to bring back the idea of going to Spain, okay? Because I think you deserve it.
Oh, I do. I do deserve it.
I'll come with you because, I want to make sure you have the best time.
Yeah, I wouldn't go to Spain without you. That would be ridiculous.
You deserve it, and I'm just tagging along.
You're my tour guide.
Exactly. I'm working. I'm going to be working, so you better get my wages straight because it's going to be expensive. I'm very knowledgeable about Spain.
Yeah. And you're my translator too, because I don't speak Spanish. So
after this trip, you will.
I love it. Dr. Emma, thank you again for joining me today for another episode of Historical Tinder on Dr. Emma and Me.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.